Hey guys, Lindsay here. I wanted to talk about Anchor for a second. If you don't know what Anchor is, it's the easiest free way to start a podcast. All you have to do is download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You can do everything that you need to do for your podcast from the app. You can record, you can edit, you can share, and you can share to places like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It makes creating a podcast super easy. We want to hear what you have to say, so download Anchor and start your podcast today.
Hello.
I'm here.
Yay.
Welcome to
I have a strange story podcast.
So this is the podcast where two sisters retell people strange and paranormal stories and experiences. I'm back. I'm Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I've been here.
Yeah, you've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
We're here. You know, we're going to tell more strange and paranormal stories and experiences. I said this is the podcast because I think for years I've been like, this is the story where two sisters retell people's stories. And like, I finally caught it the other day because I'd send somebody the link and I like watched that part and I was like, God, that's some cold shit that I've been doing that this whole time. What the fuck is wrong with me?
I mean, it just rolls off the tongue, I guess.
It's
a habit, and habits are hard to break, even if it's just a word that you switch up, and it's fine. I'm so glad to have you back.
I'm happy to be back. I'm a little tired.
Yeah, we're doing this early.
I'm a little grumpy. I have a big old cup of coffee. We're going to get this shit started.
Yeah.
It's episode 80.
Mm-hmm.
I missed an episode. It makes me kind of sad. Like there's an episode out there that I don't exist. But anyways,
I'm glad you're back.
I'm happy to be back. So this is episode 80.
Yeah.
I missed episode 79.
That's okay.
But thank you to our guests.
Yeah, Travis and Greg.
Who joined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I have an announcement for once. So, in San Antonio, there's this little bake shop called Cereal Killers, which is a really cute name because it's cereal like the kind you eat for breakfast.
That's adorable.
But it's called Cereal Killer Sweets. And they bake the most fucking amazing cookies and Rice Krispie treats. And so they actually, right now, you can place an order online and they will ship cookies to your house because of all this COVID-19 stuff. So I ordered some cookies and there was one. Oh, I mean, they're huge. It took me 3 days to eat one of the cookies.
Dang.
Because I was like, this can't be good for me to eat the whole thing. They're huge and they're really thick and they have like candy on top of them. And then, of course, I ate the Rice Krispie treats immediately. Some of you may be thinking that's not vegetarian. And I'd be like, you right, it is not, but I ate them.
Or vegan?
Because I'm a bad bitch doing good things.
Or vegan?
They aren't vegan, no.
I know.
They have marshmallows on them.
I know.
Marshmallow has gelatin.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't bother to ask. I was like, fuck it. I love Rice Krispie treats.
It's just like whenever you didn't eat meat, which you still don't now, but you would eat like crab rangoons.
Crab rangoons?
Yeah.
Thanks for selling me down the river,
Just
girl.
thought I would throw that out there. I thought that was the funniest.
I really appreciate that.
You also ate marshmallows, so...
Yeah, I know. I can't help it. Those are two really good things.
They are really good.
Anyways, it's kind of cool. You can check them out on Facebook, and then you can order cookies and Rice Krispie treats and all sorts of things from them too. It's worth it. Hashtag.
Cool.
Anyways, so there's that announcement. You don't have anything?
Today I do not. I'm just glad that you're back, and yeah.
I hope we never have to do it this early again
Me too.
in my entire life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on episode 80, and we had one of our dear listeners, Charlie, suggest that we do some research on mermaids.
Yeah.
And that sounded like it was right up my mermaid alley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I learned a few things about myself.
Wow.
As I researched mermaids. And it's kind of weird because it wasn't the research I wanted to really find. Like, I wanted to find the research on, like, you know, when you do Ouija boards, you go back to spiritualism and you go back to the Fox sisters and how it originated. And, you know, it's like you get a clear, concrete explanation of the Ouija board.
Right.
But you don't get that with mermaids. With mermaids, it's like, yeah, it's folklore. We think it originated in Greece in, like, what is it? 1000 BC.
Dang.
That's it. You know, that's all you know. Right. It's kind of weird. And then every culture kind of has their own rendition of a mermaid and what they do, or, you know, all these different stories. So I was a little disappointed because I thought I wanted to know, like, how the fuck did this happen? How the fuck did we come up with mermaids?
Right.
But I just found a bunch of stories about them. So anyways, like I've already said, so folklore, mermaids are an aquatic creature that have the head or upper body of a female human and the tail of a fish. Now, I do have a mermaid tattoo on my back, which Mom explained to me one time looked like a fish eating a skeleton. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, thanks, girl.
Yeah.
And then I looked at it, and that's all I see. It's a fish eating a skeleton. Because it's a skeleton mermaid.
It's very cool. Yeah.
It's, you know, I was young
It has
when I got
upper torso, female skeleton body, lower fully formed fish tail.
Fins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a fish eating a skeleton. So it comes from there's stories of mermaids all over the world. They're in Europe, Asia, Africa, you know, it's everywhere. It's spread across. Originally, like I said before, some of the first stories were from Greece in 1000 BC. And I can't say that there is a lot of really good stories about mermaids. Typically, they're spun as like evil creatures. But one of the first known stories from 1000 BC, the goddess, there was a goddess, I can't pronounce her name, but she loved a shepherd and she killed him on accident. She was like, oops. That's all it says.
My bad.
This is from 1000 BC. She's like, fuck, I accidentally killed him. And she was really upset that she killed him, this goddess. So she jumped into a lake because she was so upset to take her life. She took the form of a fish instead. And then she was so beautiful that she couldn't hide her beauty. So she's a fucking mermaid. She had a fish tail and then a human, you know, torso and head.
This makes a lot of sense.
This is one of the first stories of mermaids. So, but keep in mind that this is a woman who was upset and tried to take her life because she'd hurt a man that she loved.
Oh, tale as old as time. all us women are just gonna be ghosts looking for our lost loved one, the one that left us at the altar, the one that ran off with another woman.
And we were so distraught and had no coping skills that the only thing we could do was take our own lives.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I love mermaids, but fuck that shit. Like, that is not how this world works. Like, absolutely fucking not.
A goddess, right? Like, a goddess. Like, she's probably
You're
also
a goddess,
immortal.
girl.
So kind of dumb that you jumped into a lake and tried to drown yourself. Just saying.
Pull your shit together. And have you heard of the ocean? Because if you go in freshwater, you're a different type of mermaid. And I will get into that in a little bit.
Sweet.
Okay. But this is the thing, is that goddess... this is how she was usually represented in drawings. In drawings, she's represented as a fish with a human head and one arm.
Gorgeous.
I know. I saw a picture of it and I was like, Jesus, like, it's real bad. I don't know why they did that. But I think that we also...
I think we also need to talk about sirens. So sirens and mermaids are different.
Cool.
So sirens come from Greek mythology. They're dangerous. They lured men into nearby. Wait a second. Well, whatever. They would like go after sailors. They would do it by chanting and singing and beautiful music, and they would cause the sailors to have a shipwreck and die. But they didn't have tails. They didn't necessarily have tails. They were just beautiful women that would entice men and, kill them. Because women are awful.
Oh, yeah.
Awful.
That's a metaphor, isn't it? They lure you in with their beauty.
And they kill you.
And then they just kill you. They kill the human man spirit. Making us do the dishes.
Yeah.
Stop making sandwiches.
I'm so done. But then with mermaids, what they say is that they foretell and provoke disaster. They cause shipwrecks and they stir up terrible storms. So mermaids are more tied to the weather and control of the sea, which I think is interesting because I think that, is it Titan who's the god of the sea? What's his name?
Poseidon.
Let's think about the Little Mermaid. Poseidon, yeah. But they talk about mermaids being in charge. And so here's the other thing. I was like, but where are the mermen and all of this? And like, people really don't talk about mermen. Everything is really women. And they'll talk about how the men kind of exist, but the men have nothing really to do with humans, and they're typically ugly, is what I read. Oh. But mermaids are always beautiful women. Okay. So that's how the tales kind of originated, and that's the basis of what mermaids and sirens are. They're just evil fucking women that kill men. So then there's stories that came from it. So there is a story called 1001 Nights. So this is several tales of sea people. So they weren't depicted as mermaids. Anatomically, they were identical to land-bound humans. But the only difference is that they could breathe and live underwater. So I think that's kind of cool. They can and they do breed with humans that are on the land. Their kids can live underwater with them if they have kids, with a real human. So there was a story of a fisherman that gained the ability to breathe underwater. And while he's underwater, I don't know how the fuck he did it, but whatever, it's a story. So he discovers underwater a society that's portrayed basically as an inverted reflection of society on land. But they had communism where clothes and money didn't exist. And they lived underwater. They just looked like humans. They're humans fucking walking around under there. They're like, fuck clothes and fuck money. We are I mean, it sounds amazing. What a utopia. What a utopia.
I think that is a very strange detail to point out. Like, they didn't wear clothes, they didn't have money, and they were communists.
Yeah, they're communists.
Okay.
I don't know when that story was written, but I like it. So then let's go to some British folklore. Because, like, it's, everybody has different folklore around the world, right? So British folklore, mermaids are unlucky omens. They foretell disaster and they provoke it. So in these stories, the mermaids always tell sailors that they'll never see land again, or they'll tell them that they are near shore. In which they both basically mean the same thing. It means they're going to die. So the mermaids would pop up and, talk to the sailors and be like, you're real close to land, right? Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, fuck. Because they know they're going to die.
We're going to die.
Yeah. They said that that also whenever you see mermaids, that it could be a sign of approaching really rough water. And it's because they control the sea and, we hate men and we want to kill them. They also talked about, and the British folklore, they talk about some of the mermaids being portrayed as like this monstrous size up to 2,000 feet. And I was like, that's a whale, you dumb bitches. Like, y'all saw whales. Like, these men are like, these women kill us. Like, you saw a whale, you fucking idiot. And then you were all really horny. Mm-hmm. And so you thought, like, you were like, put this woman's body on top of it. Boom. Like, instant female. Like, I don't know. This is interesting, though, with the British folklore. Some mermaids, and I think in general, they can swim in fresh water. So they can swim up rivers and go into lakes.
Cool.
And I'll get a little more into that too. So there was one story in British folklore where there was what appeared to be a woman drowning in a lake. And this man, went to go save her because he's very concerned. She's this beautiful woman. And his servant pulled him back and he was like, it's a mermaid. She's going to kill you. And then apparently the mermaid stopped and looked at them and she said, I was going to kill you if he didn't stop you. I don't know. That's just like...
You're right.
That's it. That's the British folklore. That's all we do. I mean, I don't know, man. All the stories are basically the same theme. So let's move on to like the Isle of Man, which I think that's in Ireland, right? So this is the Irish folklore. So in Ireland, mermaids are the most favorable towards humans than all other regions. So there's a story about, so the stories are all really positive stories about mermaids. There was one where a fisherman carried a mermaid into the water. She was stranded, and she rewarded him by showing him where there was treasure.
Aww.
I know. And another one, a baby mermaid stole a doll from a human child. And the mermaid mother was mad at her baby. So she made her go back and she had to give the kid a pearl necklace to replace the doll that she stole. And let me just say, if I was a kid, I'd be like, fuck this pearl necklace. Yeah. I want my doll back.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants a pearl necklace? And then in another story, there was a family of fishermen who would regularly give mermaids apples, and they rewarded that family with prosperity.
That's nice.
I know. Yeah. It's interesting because so that's one part of the world where mermaids aren't portrayed as like bad, evil. So it makes you also curious, what is that culture like? How are women treated in Ireland?
Yeah.
I don't know that much about it, right? I don't know much about the Irish culture.
Yeah, as far as...
And I should.
I mean...
Because I look so Irish.
I mean, isn't that our heritage or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is either, but you're onto something there, Lindsay, about the, women being portrayed as these luring creatures that will ultimately just kill you. And they're just so beautiful that men can't resist them. And that is what is that? That's a misogynistic view.
Like femme fatale.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of what it is. And what's interesting is China and Korea, they also portray mermaids as good things and not these evil, ominous, creatures that kill.
Yeah.
So in China and Korea, the mermaids usually don't really have fish-like fins, but they have webbed toes and feet. And then some of them have multicolored hair on their body. Huh. That when you get up close, that's what you see.
Interesting.
It's kind of like rainbow hair, very thin hair on the whole body. And typically their stories are they find them stranded and that the people will put them back in the water and they show gratitude. There was also one mermaid story from Korea where she would warn fishermen about storms that were coming by singing to them so they knew to turn their ship around.
Oh,
yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So we talked a little bit about, there was one thing I wanted to mention about sirens, which I think is kind of funny. So originally sirens were depicted as bird-like humanoid creatures or, human fish-like. And then they just went ahead and went with the what we see as a mermaid today. So sirens originally started out looking like birds.
Yeah, they had wings, and then I think eventually they had like fishtails. And now when we see a siren, it's a female torso with two tails. And just, little side note, the little woman on Starbucks coffee cups is a siren and not a mermaid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So then there's a counterpart to sirens. And I don't even know if I can pronounce what they're called. They're called rusalkas. Rusalkas, I think. So these are restless spirits of the unclean dead. So they're ghosts of young women who died a violent death or an untimely death by murder or by taking their own lives before their wedding, especially by drowning.
Oh, they were probably all virgins toocan't get into heaven until you get that holy peen up you. So you're doomed to life.
You usually find them, right? You usually find them in lakes and rivers, though, actually.
I bet.
And they usually appear as beautiful young women with long, pale green hair. That's different. That's okay. Okay. They usually have pale skin. They're usually seen in the dark dancing together under the moon. And they usually will call young men by their name directly. They're like, Peter, get over here. Like,
Craig, I need to borrow your VCR.
And then they lure them into the water and they, fucking kill them.
Okay.
This is are you seeing the connection with like, La Llorona?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Women in White.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
women we get the shit end of the deal. We're always these traumatic, like tragic stories. And then we kill people the rest of our lives because we're so upset and can't deal with our emotions.
I know, like,
let me tell you something. That's fucking men. It is fucking men that can't deal with their emotions. It's not us. It is not us. Like, quit depicting us as crazy because we're not.
Yeah.
And we do not obsess about men like that. You know what happens is whenever men are like, never mind, fuck it. I'm not going on this tangent. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I'm done. I almost did, but I stopped myself. Okay, so then there's another region of mermaids that I want to talk about, and these are in Africa. And in Africa, they can be female or male, is usually how they're depicted. But they're usually female, and they're usually diabolical, and it's usually more of a female fatale, where they lure men to their death. Typically, mermaids in Africa are blamed for misfortune, and so typically that's like, bad weather or whenever people disappear. So in Africa, they depict a lot of the mermaids living in fresh water. And if somebody went missing around the bodies of fresh water, they would be like, it was a mermaid. And what they would do is they would brew fresh beer and offer it to them.
Oh. That's nice.
And when they were offering the fresh beer for whoever the mermaids allegedly took, you can't be emotional, and you have to be very like stark and cold and be like, here's the beer, like give us our people back. And then, sometimes they give them back, sometimes they wouldn't. So there's a lot of parallels between history just painting women as crazy ass bitches that kill men. That's it. Those are mermaids. So this is what I learned about myself. I have 2 mermaid tattoos on my body.
Yep.
So take that as you will. But I also used to say that I really liked sirens because I think it's kind of cool what they did. But then I was like, I don't have sirens on my body. I have mermaids on my body. So maybe I'm going to add another little tail and be like, whoop,
siren.
a doop.
Yeah. Now you got 2, you're siren.
Yeah, the only other thing that I didn't add goes back to the Greek legend of mermaids. And Alexander the Great's sister didn't die, but she turned into a mermaid, FYI.
Okay.
Yeah. She would ask ships that approached only one question. And her question was, is King Alexander alive? And the correct answer was, he lives and reigns and conquers the world. So, that usually made her fucking happy. And she'd calm water, and she would bid the ships farewell. She'd calm everything down so they could get through. Any other answer? And she would cause a massive storm, and then make the ship, go underwater and kill everybody on board.
Wow. Nobody would get that answer.
Women are crazy.
Nobody would get that answer right nowadays unless that's something that's passed down. They're, have that little post-it right now on every single ship that comes through. Look, if you get...
I'm going to get it tattooed on my forearm. Be like, just hold on.
Alexander the Great rules the world.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to hear? Okay.
He conquers the world?
He conquered the world. He's living his best life. Move on. So
this is... Yeah. So mermaids are depicted just like women are always depicted in history. Although we are the heroines and we stand behind every man in history when we really probably should have been in front of them.
True.
Don't even get me started.
Girl.
Don't even get me started on the young woman who rallied more troops than Paul Revere. And she was 16. She got twice the amount of people to come to ride.
That would be a cool...
Yeah, nobody talks about her. We talk about Paul Revere. There was a 16-year-old girl that whooped his ass.
Yeah.
Her name was Sybil.
Well, I
think it was Sybil.
The only reason why we talk about Paul Revere is because he had a catchy name. There's another guy that ran out there.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Let's talk about that girl.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Just kidding.
Keep on topic. Yeah, isn't that the shit? Women are bad luck on pirate ships. Women are bad omens in the sea. I read something somewhere that I think Christopher Columbus or somebody who was on a ship said that, he spotted manatees and he's like, those are mermaids and they're ugly.
Those are mermaids. He was like, we can fuck those. You see here, boys?
Look,
he's like, those are the things we can fuck because they're mermaids.
They're real.
That's all I think it
ugly.
Is.
But, we haven't seen a woman in a very long time.
Yeah. And then they're wild animals, so they would kill them because you shouldn't swim with wild animals. Don't even get me started on that.
Did they?
Don't swim with dolphins. They're fucking wild animals. Leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And so then they would be killed, and they'd be like, a fucking mermaid killed us. They're like, we tried to fuck a wild animal, and it killed us. I don't know, man.
Cite your source on this information that you just got about Christopher Columbus fucking and killing manatees. Where'd you find that out?
I just know. That's what my gut tells me. That's what I think happened.
That's great.
I know men, and I have a degree in history, by the way, if we all forgot. So I think I know what I'm talking about over here, okay? Do you find yourself singing TikTok songs?
All the time.
I know. I keep doing that. Okay. And I don't think anybody knows what it is.
I keep on doing, don't be nutritious, just be delicious. Yeah, and then also don't be suspicious all the time. And then the other, I heard one. This is totally getting off topic, but TikTok has saved lives. I swear to God, it's made our relationship stronger.
I swear to God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can watch it for hours and I laugh the whole time.
There's this one woman that said that she told her boyfriend about, and this is probably all untrue, but that somebody come get her. And okay, so she told him about that, and then he got it confused, and he goes, somebody come get her. She's dancing like a stripper. And I told that to my husband the other day. I told that to John, and he did the exact fucking same thing. He started singing it, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's so catchy." I'm like, "Yeah, it just makes sense."
There's one. Okay, we can stop after this. But there's one where it's men lip syncing, and it starts out with them going ah and like growling, and then they go boom, and then at the end they go bitch, and it's like real, like whatever. And it's always men without their shirts on. Like, this is what happens. For some reason, I follow a ton of gay men. So I get a lot of these, like, I don't know what it is. I also follow a ton of lesbians.
They're the funniest on TikTok.
Well, I think that they are. And they're good. It's good content. Anyways, so a lot of people are like, God, it's another man without his shirt on doing something, you know, whatever. He's going to get so many likes. But somebody had a dog do it. And like, it was a dog in a cage, and they kind of poked at his face, and he went, ow, like he growled at the right part and then put his face down when they said boom. It was fucking hilarious. You'd have to see it. Sorry.
Send
I'm
that to
done.
me.
We are done.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you. I'm excited. I'm going to send you both, so you can see what it's like when the men do it, and then you see the dog do it.
That's awesome.
I know. Anyways, mermaids, women are amazing.
Yeah.
And triumphant.
Yeah.
And men are intimidated by it, so they paint us to be these horrid creatures.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
I know.
Cool story.
Next.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie, for that. Literally, whenever I told Lindsay, she squealed through the phone like, I know this is something that you would like to do. So, excellent topic. But I have a personal story today, personal experience.
What?
Yeah, I know. Not about merms.
Oh my God.
Not about the merms, but, you know, about the other stuff that we do. No, I tried to find a personal experience about mermaids. I couldn't find any. So
just mosey on over to the Women in White or La Llorona. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Or La Llorona.
Very good. Even better.
Those are your mermaid stories.
True.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have a story about some weird lights that these people saw and a possible shapeshifter. This story, I know, it's real cool. I've been sitting on this for a while, so I just reread it today, so I'm probably going to stumble around, and I'm so sorry. Anywho, so the story involves two brothers. They got a big one and a little one. And it's the little brother that's talking about this. So they are, these kiddos lived in the countryside, and they are walking home, and it's after midnight, and it's really dark. So they're walking along, and they said that there are some houses, but they span very far and wide. And they're just going along. They're leaving after, I don't know where they're leaving from, but it's time to get home. And they have their flashlights, and they're walking down this very dark road. And the little brother said that he felt something was wrong, that like something was watching them. Sounds like the beginning of every scary experience, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And then
you know it.
Yeah. And then he heard this noise. And he says he can't explain what it sounded like because it was nothing like he'd ever heard before. And he's like, hey, bro, did you hear that? And his brother's like, no, it's fine. It's just a gunshot in the distance. Which, if you're used to gunshots in the distance, I guess that's a thing. Something I'll never get used to. Bro is just like, it was just a gunshot in the distance. Everything is fine. Later, though, he did tell his little brother that he didn't know what it was. He just told him it was a gunshot to calm him down, essentially. So they continue walking, and they've got their flashlight on, and they're just trying to make it home. And so the big brother decided to turn on some music. So just to kind of calm everybody's nerves, turned on some music, and so they're walking along, they're jamming out, they got their flashlight, and they look over to the right, and they see a light that looks like a flashlight, like a person is holding it. Yeah.
No.
I know. So
I'm so scared.
So it's after midnight, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and they see this light. And they know that it's not a person out there. So they kind of freak out a little bit. So Big Brother turned off his flashlight. And they both just watched this light. And soon it turned into 2 lights, and it started coming towards them. They thought that maybe it was a car that turned a corner. The lights just came over and washed over them like a flashlight pointing at them. They both panicked, but they couldn't move, which I have a story about that. And seconds later, it disappeared.
Okay.
So they just decided, we're going to walk a little bit faster. We got to go up this hill to go home.
They're going to walk that, like they have to poop.
Exactly.
They're like, we can poop.
This is an emergency. It's a poop emergency. Yes. So they book it up this hill to where their house is. And on the left side of the road, they see this creature. Now, the older brother should have been wearing his glasses, but he wasn't. So he couldn't really tell what it was. He said it looked like an orb that was changing shape. Little bro saw very clearly what was going on, though. And what he saw said it made him want to puke. It was a luminescent humanoid that was changing shape as it was crossing the road. So it would go from like an orb to a human to like a fox-like creature.
Huh. That's really bizarre. I've never heard of that.
I know. I haven't either.
I've heard of orbs, and I've heard of orbs manifesting into humans, but never an animal like that.
Yeah. So they are scared. They're very spooked out at this point, and they start running home. They got to the house. The big brother is just trying to calm his little brother down. They're in the driveway, and he, like, I think it's just very important to the older brother that his little brother calm down. Probably didn't want his parents to freak out or whatever. So he's like shaking his shoulders because that causes somebody to calm down. And then as he's like talking to him to be like, dude, you need to just chill out. Everything's fine. His brother looked over, like, behind his brother, and then just took off running.
No!
And, of course, little brother's like, holy fuck, something's wrong. And so they just ran to the door from their driveway. They got to the door. They were shaking so hard that they couldn't open the door. But they finally got in. Whenever they got inside, the big brother did say that he saw like a creature standing up like a human, but it wasn't a human.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's their story. I did a little research in the notes of this story, and I found out that these 2 kids live in Ireland. So I started to look up some Irish lore. Weird, right?
Oh,
yeah. That's our people. It's our people.
Hey, people.
Hey, people.
Howdy, people.
So one thing that somebody thought is maybe it was a nature spirit.
Okay.
Particularly.
Yes.
A Pùca. It's a P-U with an accent, C-A. Pùca. It's
Pika Pika.
Yeah, except Pùca. It's the Irish Pokemon. It's the Irish Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon.
Yeah. This is from Celtic folklore. They are a bringer of good or bad fortune. So you just never really know with these guys. Much like a mermaid, it sounds like. They are shapeshifters. They have been known to shapeshift into horses, goats, cats, dogs, and hares, but also human with animal features. So like ears and a tail.
This is like every teenager's dream who's like into like shapeshifters. They're like, you mean... Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So what these dudes try to do is, it sounds like they'll try to, they'll shapeshift into a horse, which horses in Irish folklore, and I think in all of like English folklore or Great Britain, that whole island, are very important. There's so many horse like folklore and shit like that. So what they'll do is they will turn into a horse and they will try to entice a person to ride on their back and take them for a wild and terrifying journey before dropping them off.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that's interesting.
I know. Yeah. So, I would definitely be that kid. Like, first of all, a fucking talking horse wants me to ride it. Yes. I am there for it. You're my new best friend. I would get on your back and we would go for a terrifying journey. But then they drop you off. So that's sweet. They don't take you somewhere else.
It's like a taxi service.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. They're like, all right.
It's a really bad taxi service. We're like, I'm going to take you through the worst parts of hell first before you can get home.
Then I'm just going to bring you back where you were.
Yeah.
Bye.
And that'll be $20 plus tip, please. They have a Pùca day where they celebrate the Pùca. It's November 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I want to learn more about this on November 1st.
Yeah, on November 1st. And what they do is they it's kind of like a day to honor the Pùca for their harvest. So they say that Pùca are both good and bad fortune. So if their crops did shitty, they would say oh, we didn't, that was the Pùca. We need to honor it and we need to make it happy. So what they would do is they would leave a section of the crops for the Pùca. So they would let it grow and they wouldn't do anything with it. And they were like, this is our offering. Please don't fuck with our other crops. And so if they had a good haul, it was because the Pùca had blessed them, basically. They are known to have human speech. This is a little asshole guy because also they would talk to you and they would either lure you into danger or safety. So people are always confused and feared by these guys. They're like
I wonder what motivates them to be positive or negative.
I don't know. There's no, I didn't find anything in here that says what their motivation is. I think it's just they're little tricksters. There's a lot of little trickster creatures out there who can do either or, just depending on what they feel like.
So it sounds like they gaslight people.
Exactly.
And my other question is, are they primarily male? Because if so, are they?
I don't know. It didn't specify a gender. Say? Yeah, I think that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that they can be whatever they shapeshift into be, and I'm not going to say that they take on any qualities of one or the other because you just don't know. But they're just a talking animal, usually a horse, that want to give you a wild ride. They say that the only thing that really helps are spurs. So if you carry your spurs around if a horse offers you a ride, because that's going to make them not be a dick to you, I guess. So, yeah. So I guess that could also mean in a way that is like an unbroken horse or a wild horse. A wild horse, if you try to get on a wild horse, they're going to take you for a hellish journey, I'm sure, because they're going to try to buck you off. So that's kind of where the spurs come in to control this wild beast or whatever. So, yeah. I fucking love the Pùca now.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think that's amazing.
It's a cool story,
yeah. Yeah, another kind of luring beast, but this time it wasn't a woman. A woman.
It's interesting because it just makes me think of all the other things that we don't know about because we're not from, we're American.
Yeah.
From America.
Yeah.
And so, but learning about that's so fucking cool. I wonder if everybody knows about that in Ireland. What do we have here in the United States? What do we have here? We're a leprechaun, and we're but
we don't have a leprechaun in the United States.
Well, I'm talking about folklore that we talk about.
You know what? We have the Mothman. We have Sasquatch. We have skinwalkers.
Nessie.
Lindsay. Nessie?
Well, we talk about Nessie. Like, everybody talks about it like it's like we know about it.
So, but that's not...
So I'm talking about in Ireland, does everybody talk about Pùca?
Oh, I think so, because they have a holiday for it.
That is fucking nuts, because I've never heard about it. And I know everything.
I know, it's weird. But you know what, Lindsay? We do have, in the United States, there is a Loch Ness monster type of creature in Lake Champlain, and they call him Champ.
That's cute.
That is cute, isn't it?
Come on, Champ.
Yeah, come on, Champ. Come on, little guy.
Get over here.
Yeah, you come here. I'm going to give you a knuckle sandwich, or I don't know what. Yeah. A noogie. That's what I. A noogie.
A noogie. What, you're going to punch him?
Come here. I'm going to give you a punch. Yeah, that's not a nice thing. That's not going to bring Champ to you. So don't do that. Yeah. So that's what we got.
We have jackalopes.
We have jackalopes. Yeah.
I looked for stories one time with jackalopes, and there aren't any.
Yeah, I've had some people say that they have experienced jackalopes, like they've seen them, and there is a disease that rabbits can get that makes it look like they have horns. I think it's a fungus or something. Oh. Yeah,
that's where it comes from. I'm sure.
Maybe they saw something completely different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm saying that's the folklore comes from.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm sure people really do see them with antlers because of it.
Anywho, yeah. Cool story.
It is a cool story. I love it. I love learning about the different folklore and creatures and everything from all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have...
I'm trying to think of...
No, trying to think of what?
Ahead. Oh, I was trying to think of any other of stories that we've told of something from another part of the world. I mean, there's that woman in Japan who she gives you candy, or you give her candy, and he smiles.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't remember her name right now. That's the woman that
I can't either.
Yeah, she is a yokai.
God, it's fun.
Or a Japanese monster. The Japanese people have a ton of monsters. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyways,
if you're from another part of the world and you want to share a story with us, please send it to ihaveastrangestorypodcast@gmail.com. You can also send it to us on Instagram or Facebook, and we'd love to read about it and research it and, just do our jobs for the podcast.
Yeah. I would love to hear if you have any stories about Pùca, or if you celebrate the holiday, or if maybe you think that you have seen one. And subscribe, rate, and review us. If you give us a review, please give us a nice review. Take a snapshot of it, send it to our email with your mailing address, and we will mail you some stickers. I think that's it. I can't remember if I have anything else. It's been such a long time since I've done this with you.
I know. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, everybody.
No, Lindsay, you're saving lives. It's fine.
I've been real busy.
I get it.
I've been busy. But thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.